FLM, wide open thinking, world-class work, and far-reaching results. Now with locations in Minneapolis, Columbus, Indianapolis, and Washington, D.C. A strategic marketing and communications company dedicated to serving clients who specialize in the business of agriculture and the life of rural communities.
I'm Sara Wyant, and I'm pleased to be joined by Don Villwock, the president of the Indiana Farm Bureau. Thanks for joining us, Don.
It's great to be with you, Sara.
Tell us what issues you see on the radar screen for Indiana farmers in 2013.
Well, I think we're all still worried about, is there going to be a 2013 drought? I think a little angst on everybody's part. We look at the drought maps out west until really recently, till this week. Precipitation has been way well below normal, temperatures higher than normal, so still some concern there, but maybe this rain of 2 to 4 inches where we're getting storms across the state kind of brings a little bit of relief, but the climatologists tell us we need 12 inches just to get back to recharge. And so I think that's the number one concern with the extension of the Farm Bill. I think that took away some of the angst. That it was the uncertainty. I don't know that what we have here is what everyone's looking for. As Indiana farmers, we're really looking to do away with direct payments and really shoring up our safety net through crop insurance. So that's not quite accomplished in the Farm Bill. So we'll be watching that as it proceeds. I do believe a lot of the winter concern that we had was over the Bush tax cuts. And when they got extended, a lot of folks were thrilled to see that. And in all reality, for Indiana farmers, probably more money to be made or saved by those Bush tax cuts than there were in the potential Farm Bill. The estate tax was on the top of mind. I know all the lawyers, ag lawyers and CPAs were extremely busy working on overtime as they were scared to death, as many farmers were, that they were up against the $1 million exemption. And so not too big a farm anymore would take to hit that limit. So that's behind us. I think we get a little breathing room. And so a lot of those things I think are top of mind. And you know, what's the market going to do, whichever farmer faces every spring.
And certainly you faced the drought in a very first-hand way this last year on your farm in southern Indiana.
Well, unfortunately, we got to watch that movie from the front row, and it was way more devastating than we like. And but we had a little bit of everything. We had from 0 harvested fields, 200 acres of corn we didn't pick, to our irrigated crops, which were the best ever. So we had the gamut. A lot of Indiana farmers experienced that, and many in the same field. So not something we want to go through again, and thank heaven that we did have the safety net of crop insurance, and that reassured not only us as farmers, but the lending community as well. And I think that's really a key factor as we move forward with any Farm Bill debate. I think we need that security of a safety net and mainly crop insurance.
As we look forward to the now 2013 Farm Bill, we've had an extension of 2008, expectations for even fewer dollars to work with going forward. What do you think that's going to mean for American Farm Bureau Federation's farm policy proposals that have favored a deep loss provision versus some of the shallow loss language that was included in the previous versions?
Well, I think the legislators will have to be a little more pragmatic. I think a lot of hopes with the dollars that could be locked in if we had accomplished a Farm Bill in 2012, well, they are going away. And so it's going to have to be a more budget-conscious Farm Bill, much more than any of us would like. A lot of baselines evaporated or decreased. And so now, I believe, our deep loss program that we talked about originally in Farm Bureau really gives that safety net when farmers need it, when we have these deep losses, would come into play, and has really the largest budget savings of all the things that have been talked about and considered in the 2012 bill. So I think it'll get more debate and discussion and may get a little more attention than it did originally.
Indiana had a very long time proponent of agriculture serving on the Senate Ag Committee in Dick Lugar. Now you've got a new senator, Senator Donnelly. Tell us a little bit about what you think we might expect from his participation in agricultural issues.
Well, first I want to thank Senator Lugar. He was a great champion of agriculture and a good friend of Farm Bureau. But fortunately for us in Farm Bureau, Senator Donnelly has a great relationship with us. He is comes from an ag community. His northern congressional district was very ag-oriented. He had an ag advisory committee that was populated with a lot of great Farm Bureau members from our state. He was very attentive, and one of the things I think was very key, he didn't claim to know a lot about agriculture, so he reached out to us and others, and so I think that's important. You know, I don't expect my elected representative to be an expert in all areas by any means, and Lord knows agriculture is complex with all the things that we do there. So having a senator that is open-minded, willing to listen is very key, and we found Senator Donnelly to be an elected official that's willing to do that.
Great. Thanks so much for joining us on Agri-Pulse. Don Villwock, President, Indiana Farm Bureau.
Thank you, Sarah.